In this tutorial we're going to get started with rich text. Before we get going on actually doing a lot with it, what I'd like to do first is explain what rich text is. You who are anywhere close to my age, I'm 48 years old. When we took typing in high school, that's exactly what it was. It was typing. We had not keyboarding. We had pica, we had elite. We didn't have bold, we didn't have italics, we didn't have bullets. We just had words on the page. The typefaces were what's called monospaced type. If you look at this, where I've typed in this cliche "Hello World," you can see that there are 5 letters in each of those 2 words, and they take up the same amount of horizontal space. In other words, if you look at my skinny L, is actually taking up the same amount of horizontal space as my fat W or my fat H and so on. And then if I'm actually working in an HTML editor right now. So if I save that in a browser window, let me just push that down so you can see that it's a browser window. And you can see that even though we haven't done any marking up of this text, the browser has a default font of, I think it's Times New Roman, and they're not side by, or they're not, I don't have the side by side thing going, or the on top of each other thing going, but I think you can probably visually see that these 2 letters are not occupying the same amount, or these 2 words I should say, are not occupying the same amount of horizontal space. My skinny L's are actually only occupying enough space as what they need. In fact, if you look, my 2 L's are actually appear to be taking up less space than 1 capital H. So this makes for a more attractive, and of course there's much more than just the fonts. In this case, I'm going to put in. Actually, we're still working with fonts. I didn't quite word that correctly. But I put in a tag that tells that to be a header. As you can see, it's grown a lot. I can add some other style in it. I'm using what's called CSS since I'm working in HTML here. And I think you got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen to it now. And then I'm going to do one other thing here to show you. My name is Jeff. I'm going to type real fast here. Oops, if I don't screw it all up. A computer geek. Guitar player. And if you ask my kids, a dork. Oops. Now when I save that, what we've just created there is a list. Now here's where it gets interesting. This is just like what it's a web page. I mean, it's brought up in a browser. I'm going to highlight all this. I'm going to copy it. Move all that stuff out of the way, and now I'm back to our rich text editor in PageWORX. I'm inside the box, paste. Now you'll get these security warnings. What this is JavaScript is the language that powers this rich text editor, and a malicious website can use JavaScript to access your Windows clipboard if you let it. In this case, we're obviously not a malicious website. We are our own website. We're going to allow access. I'm not sure why it's making me do that twice. Okay, so as you can see, that even though I've done copy and paste, for example, if I was to copy and paste this into Windows Notepad, it just put in some asterisks. in my PageWORX rich text editor, I actually got the bullets. And if I push this button up here where it says source, you can see this list stuff that I typed in. It's spaced it out kind of nicer than what but you can see it's actually picked up that code that was behind the scenes in the browser window. So it makes for some pretty interesting possibilities. For example, here I am on Google's home page. I'm going to take and select the entire page. Copy. I go back to our rich text editor. I'm going to get rid of all that. Paste. Answer my security question. You see, I've actually placed Google's home page with a little strangeness into the rich text editor. So I'm going to scroll down now. I'm not going to save this, but I'm going to preview it. So you can see it appears that we have actually put Google's home page onto our website. Now I can assure you that it's not quite that easy, and the search engine, the search will not work, and also we're not going to save this, and I would strongly discourage you from doing this kind of thing. This was is a pretty clear copyright violation. We're in a preview mode. We haven't violated any copyrights, of course. So I'm going to go back to make changes. I'm going to take this, starting at the bottom, highlight it. I don't have a delete link in this, so I'm just going to say cut. It's going to allow me that again. Now, one thing you might want to do when you do these kind of things is go back to your source. And in this case, you see, it appears that we've got this empty, but the fact is we've kind of missed some garbage from Google. So let's just take our delete. Oops, that didn't work, did it? We're still in the source. As you notice, I'm going to use the delete key on the keyboard. And now when we go back to the main rich text window, you can see both sides are empty. So I think we've got a pretty good idea what rich text is, how it can be pasted into our rich text editor. So let's move on to our next tutorial and start working with some actual content.